Alright. Here I know. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, Season 3.
Good evening and welcome back to another edition of the Myt Sports Podcast. I am your host, the one and only talent Omar Taylor, Mr. Take that energy himself. Woo! It's another beautiful day in this neighborhood. Living down here in South Florida. We got a lot of things to talk about today. It's getting a little chilly in South Florida since it's going to be in the mid-40s tonight. Right? But still good nonetheless. And like I said, we got a ton of shit to talk about. On January 17th, first of all, let me say happy birthday to my eldest brother, Omar. He turns 43 today? If I'm not mistaken. Man, we gotta talk about that catch. We gotta talk about the problems in Houston. The land in peril. The heat culture rising, these polls, NBA midseason, that cheaters gonna cheat. This is season 3, episode 98 overall. We're 2 away from 100. But, man, you know what I say, regardless of the time.
Take that.
And regardless of the weather.
Hello? You play to win the game.
It's always a good time to talk some sports. So, let's start talking. Woo! Back at it like a sports fanatic. And listen.
First of all, things first.
New Orleans versus Minnesota. Let's not pull any punches. So since we ain't pulling no punches, let's take the last shot of this Hennessy Pure White that I got as a Christmas present. I'm finally finishing. Thank you, Booski. As I'm giving all kinds of shouts out, all kinds of love, and all kinds of unprecedented, unnecessary, this promo love to a bunch of people who ain't even paying me to give promo love. But you know, we're gonna give them a shout. Yo! That was good. Whew. Because, listen, I know that shot when you heard me take was good, but that last shot down the field by Minnesota, that was something to witness. As, if you're watching this New Orleans Minnesota game, and man, can you say the NFL got it right? The NFL got it right when they put the games on in the order that they put them on. You know, Minnesota and New Orleans getting the prime Sunday spot on the last game of the night for Sunday. Tennessee and New England getting the foo spot on Sunday. Jacksonville and Philly and Pittsburgh getting the prime time slot for Saturday. And not for nothing, not gonna say that Atlanta and Philly didn't hold up their own either. Because remember, we came in here. And just to give you a little quick caveat, a little quick tip before I give you all of these scores. Remember, we came in here and we said experience was going to rule the day. And as we get into this podcast, we're going to see how right we were. But Minnesota versus New Orleans, it's a good game all the way through. We're talking about catches down the field. We're talking about misses. We're talking about one incredible moment after another. And yet, it came down to the last play of the game. It came down to the very last pass of the game. And if you haven't heard this yet, and I'm assuming that you had to have heard this already because everybody is talking. Look, this is cooler material. This is water cooler material. if people still hang around the water cooler. I think now was just the electronic vending machine that doesn't give change and has a camera attached to it, and you have to like log online and has an app that you can reload and all kinds of new fandangle things. But this is a big but. It was still amazing. You should have heard this by now. So here is Case Keenum dropping back to pass. And Minnesota doesn't have a lot of time left. What they're trying to do at this point in time is trying to get the ball upfield, get it inbounds, catch it inbounds, and hope that they can get out of bounds so that they can stop the clock and hopefully maybe get another playoff and do the same thing again and get in field goal range, but hopefully that this one play would have possibly got him into field goal range. That's what we were looking at. As Case Keenum drops back to pass. Remember we talked about that cover 2 offense? Well, that cover 2 defense. Well, here goes that cover 2 defense again. And we have our boy Stephon Diggs, the guy that we had on our fantasy football team all year. The guy that started off hot is one of the best wide receivers in the league, got injured and ended up losing his spot to Thielen. So Case Keenum basically took 2 wide receivers in one season to the number 1 spot of wide receiverhood. I'm just saying, let me let you know what Case Keenum has done. Because while we look at the experience, Case Keenum put up Drew Brees numbers all season. Go look it up. Drew Brees and Case Keenum have similar numbers this year. I'm not saying Case Keenum is Drew Brees, but for this season, he was Drew Brees-like. And on this pass that he laid down the line to Stephon Diggs catches. And you see the cornerback trying to get at him, but he can't quite make it. And the safety that's supposed to be over the top of the cover 2, remember we spoke about this. So listen, I'm not going to break down cover 2 coverages to you again. Like, you guys are going to have to go to a couple of old podcasts. I think it's within the last 2 or 3. And hear me break down cover 2 defense. I forgot what was even the reference I was even having to break down the cover 2 for you. But nonetheless, and don't forget the number to dial is 954-951-6182 if you ever want to join this conversation. Or hit me up on the Mixlr machine. Hit me up on the Mixlr machine. I can take direct chats through there. But remember, you are listening live on Mixlr, live on Myt Radio, live on mytsports.net. You hear the re-air on TuneIn Radio. You hear the re-air on 247miami.tv. I'm trying to give it to you any way you can take it, B. And that's kind of what Minnesota did. They took it however they can get it. And Stephon Diggs catches that ball. And I'm going to tell you what happened here. More than anything else. The safety comes over the top, and he comes to tackle Stephon Diggs. Which is what they were supposed to do. Not let Stephon Diggs get behind you. And when you tackle him, try to tackle him inbounds. Well, let me tell you what happened here. And it serves them right. It serves him right. And the person that we're talking about, and you know what? The person, and this is too apropos that I have a spot left for this particular segment. Because this segment hasn't come out in a while. And I mean a really long time. But it's fitting. It is damn fitting that in a game that cost your team the Super Bowl, that you would be in this particular category. Like I said, it's been a while. And if you guys know me, I think you have an idea where I'm going with this. I think you know. If you don't know, like, should I give it to him? Like, I feel like I should be nice. I feel like I should be nice to Marcus Williams, because it's not like he tried to do it, but I think he did. Or a part of me makes me believe that he forgot his technique more than anything else. So you know what? Yeah. Because he's going to have some time to get over this, right? He's going to have some time to break away from this moment. Because this is his rookie season. But you get the Homer Simpson Doe Award for this one. Because what Marcus Williams did wasn't tackling. And it served him right to blow that tackle because of what he did. He didn't try to tackle. He targeted. That's what he did. He targeted Stephon Diggs. Look at the play. His head is down. Because you understand, if he was tackling, if he was going to practice his proper technique, his head would be up, so he would see Marcus Williams. His chest would be up, so he could follow through, and he would be able to wrap his arms around him and direct him into the direction that he's trying to influence him to. But no, what he did is put his head down and he launched himself at Stephon Diggs. Unfortunately for him, Stephon Diggs wasn't in the area that 30-ass player, as I'm going to call him for right now, Marcus Williams, targeted himself at. So what happens, Stephon Diggs gets a clean play, puts a hand on the ground, regains his balance, runs along the sideline, looks around, looks to the left, looks to the right, looks to the left, looks to the right, looks to the left, looks to the right. He doesn't see anybody else because when Marcus Williams decided to target Stephon Diggs and miss, what he ended up doing was targeting his own teammate, and he took out his own teammate. So the corner that was within arm's reach of Stephon Diggs is no longer within arm's reach because Marcus Williams wiped him out of the play. Minnesota wins the game on a last-second play in regulation. No time left. 29-24. So you realize this. This game was 23-24. New Orleans had this in the bag. And they lost on a 61-yard touchdown to Stephon Diggs. All because Marcus Williams couldn't stop targeting. That's how this sports weekend started off. Can you imagine how it ends?
First of all, first things first.
If we're going to talk about one incredible feat in sports, then we have to talk about another incredible feat in sports. This one may be not so accommodating because this happened on an iconic day from, I don't know if I want to call him an iconic player, but definitely a future Hall of Fame player. But it's definitely something that should never happen. But when you hear about the parties involved,
Tell me why.
is all you're going to ask. When we come back from this commercial break, we'll get back into that. MyTRadio.net, Myt Sports Podcast. Use the host, Talent Omar Taylor.
Let me put you on the game. Being taken advantage of isn't a game, and it needs to stop. Are you tired of being ripped off by those other guys? Then head to Multiverse Video Games and get the value you deserve on your games and gaming products. Games cost money, and you shouldn't feel like just giving them away. So why continuously buy a membership for prices and deals that you should be getting anyway? Multiverse Games not only has fair pricing and great trading deals, Multiverse has a wide variety of games, not just all your popular next-gen titles, but also all your favorite old-school titles and systems. Starting as early as Atari and Nintendo, to as current as PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and yes, That does include PlayStations, GameCubes, and Xboxes in between. They've been family owned and operated for over 10 years just off the intersection of 183rd and 7th Avenue near Mercer's Registry Plaza. That's conveniently located at 830 Northwest 183rd Street, Miami Gardens, Florida 33169. Believe it or not, just 5 minutes from Sun Life Stadium, $7.90 the ticket, and oh no, let's not forget Tootsie's Adult Entertainment Center. Multiverse Games, where you save more so you can play more.
And we are back. Thank you for listening. This is still Talent Omar Taylor, and you are still listening on mytradio.net, or you may be listening on 247miami.tv. Wherever you are listening, I do thank you. Don't forget that number to dial if you want to call in. It's 954-951-6182. But remember, that is only while this show is live Wednesday nights between 8 p.m.-ish and 9 p.m.-ish. That's when the show is live. So if you're not listening to this between 8 and 9 p.m., I'm sorry, folks. You've missed your window to call in and get into these topics. Whether it's just to join into the conversation or to call and curse me out and be like, yo, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yo, why the fuck do you even have a podcast? I don't even mind. Come. Bring it. Talk to me. This is why I do this. But. Chris Paul and his new Houston Rockets faced off his old team, Blake Griffin and the LA Clippers. And things got very testy very quickly. On and off the court, mind you. On the court, we see the son of the head coach, Austin Rivers, his dad being Doc Rivers, the head coach and general manager of the LA Clippers. The only reason why I think that this guy even has a job when he does, because listen, Austin Rivers should have done a stint overseas to humble his ass. But instead, he got a job with his daddy. So now we have the Houston Rockets taking on the LA Clippers. As I told you, this happened on Martin Luther King Day. As we saw a slew of games happen on Martin Luther King Day. But we're going to talk about this one for right now. We'll get into the rest later. Austin Rivers starts to chirp and talk smack while he's not even playing in the game. Now, mind you, he doesn't get a technical or anything like that. And you ask me, why would you say that? Why would he get a technical for talking from the bench? Because they gave a technical to D'Angelo Russell from the Brooklyn Nets for clapping the other night. So I would assume if you have somebody antagonizing the actual players with, and assaulted them verbally, that you would check him and give him a technical too. But no, that didn't happen. He's over here talking smack to Trevor Ariza, as if Trevor Ariza isn't a champion and you're a scrub. Not only that, Blake Griffin is over here bumping into Coach D'Antoni on the court. CP3 and Blake Griffin are beefing. So all this is happening on the court. And then we get to the off the court stuff. Yes, folks, this is one of those incidents that spilled off the court. Now, you know, you wonder like, when is the last time that you remember hearing about something spilling off the court? Is when Kevin Garnett told Carmelo Anthony that his wife tastes like Honey Nut Cheerios. That was the last time we heard about some ish spilling off court. So I wouldn't assume that something similar happened, that Trevor Ariza just got blatantly disrespected by your boy Austin Rivers, and that's what forced him to come after him. Because what happens now is that the Houston Rockets end up going through the back way into the Clippers locker room to go confront Austin Rivers. Now remember, we say the back way, and they make it seem like a secret passageway that only somebody with Chris Paul's knowledge should know. But even if that's not the case, Chris Paul is there in the first place and not stopping this. Because if I'm not mistaken, like, the first thing that pops in my head is that Chris Paul is supposed to be the leader of the Players Association. So he's allowing something like this to go on from somebody that's in a commercial with him singing while driving in the back seat with the bearded one who looks a little upset. Because James Harden is there too. But also, they have another group of guys, of teammates, knocking on the front door of the locker room while they come in the back. So basically, not only did they throw a diversion, but they tried to flank him. So, I haven't heard anything about any suspensions yet. Because there are going to be some suspensions. I think Blake Griffin should get suspended. James Harden should get suspended when he comes back. Chris Paul should get suspended. Austin Rivers should get suspended when he comes back. But what's worse? What's worse? Tell me why. The Houston Rockets lost to the Clippers. 113-102. So you gonna do all this? And you still gonna lose? Like, that is not a G thing to do, but that is in Chris Paul's fashion. To do all of this in the regular season just to consistently come up short in the playoffs. So, continuing to talk about playoffs. We have Atlanta taking on Philadelphia in Philly. And remember I told you. I came up here and I put it in front of you guys and I said, I am going with the experience, which I'm assuming tons of people probably did. But this is what I decided to do. Now, I warned you that a couple of games may be a little iffy. I warned you that a couple of games caught my eye in a way that made me say, hey, this may be a head scratcher. This may be a headbanger. But me being the hot ninja that I am, I ran with it. And I'm telling you, right now, Atlanta lost to Philly. So this is two teams already that had the experienced quarterback over the other team that lost. And once again, this is something that came at the end. This is something that went all the way through. Like, this wasn't just, 15 straight points by Philly and then Atlanta spent the rest of the game trying to catch up. This was just really good play. This was Julio Jones trying to catch a touchdown pass in the end zone with no time left on the clock, or as their last possession. This is him falling down on that last possession and then getting back up to try to catch the ball and the ball going through his hands because, listen, that one play right there is basically a correlation of their whole entire season. Meaning, Matt Ryan, who I called Matt Bryant last week. I called him his kicker, by the way. But Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Because Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are 1 for 18 for the season in red zone targets. A touchdown. You understand? 1 for 18. While you have Nick Foles on the opposite end of the field going 23 for 30 to put up basically 250 yards. Folks, that's 76% passing completion Nick Foles put up. Nick Foles. Now, in Nick Foles fashion, he also put up no touchdowns and no interceptions. But 76%. And then we get to Sunday. And I don't know how much time you're going to want me to spend here. We get to Sunday, and the Tennessee Titans take on the New England Patriots. And listen, the first quarter was great of this game. Tennessee came down the field. They put up 7 points. There was like 19 seconds left in the first quarter. And you're looking at this like, wow, this team is keeping Tom Brady off the field. They ran the ball. They had a great time of possession. And then the second half started. And within a minute and 30 seconds, we were reminded.
They are who we thought they were. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Because basically the New England Patriots railed off 35 straight points. But folks, in the first 90 seconds of the second quarter, the New England Patriots marched down the field and they tied the game in an instant. That the shock that the crowd had by the Tennessee Titans being able to take that long and drag out a score is the same exact shock that got shifted to Tennessee Titans when they realized, holy crap.
They are who we thought they were. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
And the New England Patriots never looked back. (35-14), New England over Tennessee. And then we get to the game. The Saturday night game that took us all by captivity. Shoo! Excuse me. Excuse me. There's no mute button for that. You just get the sneeze. Pardon me. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Basically, folks, we're talking about the 2 seed versus the 3 seed. Pittsburgh with the dynamic offense. Jacksonville with the dynamic defense and the running game. And folks, before I give you the score, I have one question for all Giants fans out there. In Coughlin we trust? I'll get more into that when we come back from this commercial break.
Come on down to XF Martial Arts where you'll be able to take part in learning all the disciplines you need to be an extreme freestyle martial arts machine. Whether it's Taekwondo, Karate, Yoga, summer, spring, or fall, XF Martial Arts has it all. For more information, class times, and dates, don't wait. Go to xfmartialarts.com and reserve your spot today. That's XF Martial Arts, located at 2875 South Congress Avenue, Suite D, Delray Beach, Florida, 33445. Or call 561-276-1774 and ask to speak with Sensei Cohen to reserve your free trial week. Just tell him Myt Sports sent you. XF Martial Arts, where fun and discipline are one.
And we are back. to the Myt Sports Podcast. I'm still your host, Talon Taylor. If you're still listening, that means, hopefully you're catching the live show. Catching the live show, that means you're listening right here on mytradio.net. It's the only place to catch the show live. But I have about a dozen ways for you to catch the re-air. You can catch it at mytsports.net. You can catch it at 247tv.net. You can catch it on my YouTube channel, Myt Sports Podcast. You can also catch it on MixLR. That's MIXLR. You can catch it on that app as well. Or you can catch it on TuneIn Radio as well. But you'll have to go to Myt Radio for that one. And catch the re-air when it comes on Myt Radio. So you better off just go to mytradio.net. Basically, listen, Myt Radio, where every voice is
Myt.
Don't forget the number to dial if you try to get in, listening live. Tonight is 8:30 and 9:30. But the show generally starts between 8 and 9. Got the Knicks going on in the background, taking on... Who they're taking on? Memphis? Memphis Grizzlies? Yeah, taking on Memphis. We'll give you a score update on that one pretty soon as well. As we get back into these games, Jacksonville and Pittsburgh take the field Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time it was. The 2 seed versus the 3 seed. And basically this game is to see the difference between the 2 and the 3. And I ask you guys a question. If you're a Giants fan, in Coughlin we trust? Jacksonville Jaguars go into Pittsburgh. They face the steel curtain. And out of the gate, before Pittsburgh can blink, put up 17 points. This game is 17-0 early. Now, mind you, Pittsburgh does start to score some touchdowns. And several times, they get this within a 10-point game. 7-point game. Maybe a 10-point game. Even once a 3-point game. But it seemed that every time Pittsburgh came back, Jacksonville has said, oh, that's cute. Hold my beer. And they went down the field and they scored a touchdown. And then they'll score a touchdown. And then Pittsburgh will come and they'll put up another touchdown. And Jacksonville will say, hey, hold my beer. And go down and score another touchdown. Until you're realizing that you're not sure if Pittsburgh can make up this comeback. Especially when you get into the poor clock management that happened with Tom Coughlin. With a little over 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, having the ability, they just scored, mind you. They just scored, Pittsburgh. They could have kicked the ball down the field and have that defense throw all of their guts on the field and try to stop them short. While they had 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning to stop the clock. And Pittsburgh decided to kick an onside kick that gave Jacksonville a short field. And then they couldn't stop them. This game ended 45-14. E22 as experience did not overcome this weekend. I mean, home field held serve for the most part. Unless you're just Pittsburgh and you lost to the Jacksonville team that you overlooked and thought that you were going to be playing New England in the playoffs. Because that's what you talked about, right? So anything short of that is a disappointment. You understand? Because at least if you made it to go play New England, Pittsburgh Steelers, Tom Coughlin, Antonio Brown, and the rest of that Pittsburgh Steelers squad, if you really, like, this season is a complete disappointment because you said that you were going to be playing the New England Patriots in the playoffs and you lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. You didn't make it to them. Because at least if you would have lost to them, you could at least say, hey, we did what we said. You know, we knew we was going to play this team. This team. And then they're a tough bunch. And you can always play the rhetoric. That's the team and if you had to lose to, that you would want to lose to. You know what I mean? But no, you didn't even get to them. That's like LeBron James coming out saying, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but leaving after 4 years and not even able to qualify to even attempt to get the 4, the 5, the 6, or 7 that he promised the city of Miami. But let's not let that get us upset or too much off the course. We have 4 teams that are making it now to the Super Bowl. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars, New England Patriots, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Minnesota Vikings. So the way it matches up now, we're going to have Minnesota going to play Philly in Philadelphia, as Minnesota is 1 game away from hosting a Super Bowl. And we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going in and take on the New England Patriots. And this is where these matches become interesting because I asked you in the beginning, Giants fans, in Coughlin, we trust. Because the last time that the New England Patriots lost in the Super Bowl, it was to a Tom Coughlin coached team. And we see in 1 season, what Tom Coughlin being installed as a culture guy does for a team that he is able to discipline. And the Jacksonville Jaguars do have the formula that it takes to beat the New England Patriots. Now, I know a lot of people aren't clamoring for this, but I am 100% clamoring for this. I want to see a Minnesota-Jacksonville Super Bowl. Why wouldn't I want to see 2 brand new teams in the Super Bowl? 2 brand new fucking quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Why would I want to see a team host the Super Bowl in their hometown? Why wouldn't I want to see a young running back get there this rookie year, stampede all over that, and try to stampede in the team? Why wouldn't you want that? That to me is compelling football. Because if you could produce because if you say in football, hey, 3/4 of the team that makes it every single year to the playoffs aren't going to make it again this year. And we saw it in the NFC alone, where 5 out of 6 of the teams that made it this year weren't there last year. The only team to come back was Atlanta, and they got blown out. I'm sorry, not blown out, but they lost to Philly in the second round. So, that if it wasn't for the fact that New England probably had the easiest game out of all of them, and we kind of knew that they had the easiest matchup, Listen, everybody else is a tough matchup. Are you telling me that Minnesota's that easy to beat right now? Philly? Jacksonville? At New England, we already know who New England are. They're the evil empire. They're the dark ones. They're the team that we don't want to talk about. But also, is this also not a big FU from Tom Coughlin to the Giants if he could make it there? A big FU to Odell Beckham. Like, seriously. Like, listen, I'm sorry, I'm not a Giants fan, I'm a Jets fan. Like, let's get this twisted. I'm a Jets fan. But if I was a Giants fan, I'll be rooting for Jacksonville. I would be rooting for Jacksonville with every ounce of me. And also, I can't root for Philly if I'm a Giants fan, can you? Like, you can't do that. So by default, you kind of, like, if you're a Giants fan, you're also rooting to see Minnesota versus Jacksonville. Are you telling me that you're not interested in seeing that? Because I am. Just like I'm interested in seeing how the NBA plays out halfway through the season. Because there's some awards that should be handed out so far. We definitely need to hand out some mid-season awards. And I'm going to tell you right now. After this commercial break, of who I think to get Coach of the Year. And you're probably not going to believe me. Because if you know who I am, if you've been listening to this podcast now for the last 2.5 years, if you've taken this journey with me, or if you're just a friend of mine and you just know if you know me, you know it's not an easy thing for me to do. Even when I know it's the right thing to do, but to give credit to teams or players of teams or representatives of teams that I wholeheartedly do not like. It is absolutely hard for me to do that. Listen, I can tell you almost anything honestly in the world that you would love to know. Except for when it comes to the teams that I wholeheartedly dislike. Like, I don't really fully hate Boston as much as I have in the past. So that's usually why you guys are able to hear me talk about Kyrie Irving in a positive light. Also, these guys, Brown and Tatum, they're too young for me to fully hate right now. You understand? But give it some time. Give me a year or two, and both of those guys are going to be on my shit list as I portray them being more braggadocious and more feeling themselves, and give them a title that they probably don't deserve. It's okay. It's going to happen. You guys are going to get upset with me, just like I'm upset with the Jets right now. Because I heard that they may be drafting a USC quarterback. That is something we're going to talk about for another day. But can you imagine another Mark Sanchez and the Jets invite? I can't take it. But we're not going to get off track here. There are some mid-season awards that need to be given out. And as I look up and down the NBA, as I look through the numbers, I look through the stats, the advanced stats, the digressive stats, the progressive stats, the Geico stats, like, somebody just keeps popping up. Something just keeps sticking out to me. And I can't figure out how this thing is being done. So I have the very first award that I want to give out. But you guys have to wait till this commercial break.
Stuck trying to figure out what to do on a Friday again? Well, stop worrying and stop thinking and head down to Capone's nightclub in downtown Fort Lauderdale. This is where you'll find DJ Scepter who makes it in the lounge room so you can start dancing and start drinking. And we understand, some of you may be an introvert, so you may want to start drinking so you can start dancing. But regardless of what you do, you make sure you do it with DJ Scepter. That's every Friday from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Ladies, you bring your sexy. Fellas, you bring your swag. It's going down at Capone's. But wait, there's more. Trying to figure out what to do on a Wednesday? Yes, hump day? You'll find DJ Scepter at O'Malley's from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's right there on 441 between Coconut Creek and Royal Palm Boulevard. DJ Scepter plays everywhere that you want to be. Whether that's a birthday, wedding, bar mitzvah, quinceanera, proms, corporate events, bachelor or bachelorette parties. DJ Scepter puts a royal touch on everything. And for reservations, just send a simple email to bookings@djscepter.com. That's bookings@djscepter.com.
And as the Knicks are losing 65-53 to the Minnesota Grizzlies, we are back with the Myt Sports Podcast. I'm still your host, Alito Martel. If you're still listening, you're still listening live, hopefully, on mytradio.net. Or you can always catch the re-air on 24/7 Miami, 24/7miami.tv or mytsports.net. You can catch it on TuneIn Radio. You can catch it on the YouTube page, Myt Sports. Listen, everywhere that you want to be, everywhere that you want to cast your voice, it will be.
Myt!
So we come back into the NBA right now. We shift into the NBA. And we're about halfway through the season, right? We're just about 41 games into the season. Some teams have played 42. Some teams have played about 44. But for the majority part, you're talking about every single team out there has at least played 41 games for the season. So we get into our mid-season report as we start to break down some of these teams and start to get into them. Right now, the current standings as it takes, we have Boston leading the number. I'm still standing in the first place, right? With just having 10 losses. We have Toronto there sitting in number 2 with 29-13, Cleveland in 26-7, and folks, the Miami Heat at 25-18. And this is where I want to stop at. The Miami Heat are sitting in 4th place with a record of 25-18. They are basically one game back of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have lost 8 of their last 10 games. And the Miami Heat has no recognizable stars. Outside of the Miami universe, outside of the Miami culture, the Miami Heat have no recognizable stars. Dragic is unknown still, even though he balled in Phoenix and now he's over here in Miami. Hassan Whiteside is still a fairly unknown name. He's not a public name. He's not a household figure. He's not. So these guys are fairly unknown stars. And listen, they even kind of play mediocre-ish. Let's let you know when you look at the stats alone. But these guys gel together. And their head coach, Eric Spoelstra, has these guys clicking, functioning, and winning. And he is my candidate so far, halfway through the season, for Coach of the Year. I'm sorry. I know some people may want to look at Coach D'Antoni, which I think is good too. He's probably the only other person I'm putting in this category. It's Coach D'Antoni, and we're talking about Eric Spoelstra. And that's it. Behind Miami, we have the Washington Bullets with a record of 25-19. Followed by the Indiana Pacers, a record of 24-10. Milwaukee sits with a record of 23-20. And Detroit rounds out the East in 8th spot with a record of 22-20. The New York Knicks are in 10th place as they continue their home slide. And it's not looking good for New York. As I said, they're losing right now. And come to find out, once again, as I told you in a couple of episodes ago, maybe last episode, as people are complaining, and I'm talking about legitimate coaches were complaining that the New York Knicks may have possibly had an easy schedule in the beginning of the season because they had so many home games. They wanted New York to be relevant, but I don't hear them talking about New York having to have to play 6 straight road games because the Grammys are in the Garden. And they have to start preparing from last night. Yes, folks, last night, Tuesday, January 16th, is when they had to start prepping for the Grammys, so the Knicks won't be in their home court for almost a whole 2 weeks. They have 6 straight road games. This happens to New York all the time. Eventually, the circus is going to come into town and do the whole thing all over again. Sitting in the West, Golden State Warriors with a record of 36-9. Folks, get this flavor in your ear. They are the only team left in the NBA that still has single-digit losses. They are followed by the Houston Rockets with a record of 30-12. We already told you how the Houston Rockets were going through each other's locker room and trying to swing. The Minnesota Timberwolves have moved down a slot, and they're no longer in the third slot. They're in the fourth slot. The San Antonio Spurs are now have a record of 29-16, and they shut down Kawhi Leonard for the rest of the year as they can't figure out what the hell is going on with his cap. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 29-17 as they got cursed out by their leader so far, Jimmy Butler, as he said, you know what, we've been kind of feeling ourselves a little bit lately. We haven't been putting up the kind of performance that we said that we need to put up, and we've lost a game that we should have won. Oklahoma City still sits in the fifth place with a record of 24-20, as those guys are still finding their way, but still kind of gelling. And then, as we talk about the fifth slot, this starts the log jam of fifth through ninth, because just yesterday, folks, the Portland Trailblazers were not in the playoffs if the playoffs were to start yesterday. But if the playoffs start today, the Portland Trailblazers are in, and the Denver Nuggets are out. That's how much of a logjam it is. We have Oklahoma City Thunder with a record of 24-20. We have the New Orleans Pelicans, who are on a 5-game winning streak, as their star, the Brow, Anthony Davis, has dropped back-to-back games of 45 points and 25 rebounds. Only person to do that since our main man, the round mound of rebound, Charles Barkley, 30 years ago. Yeah, dead ass, 1988. So we have New Orleans City with a record of 23-20. We have Portland behind them with a record of 23-21. And as I said, Denver has a record of 23-21 as well. And the LA Clippers, as even though they just beat the Houston Rockets, it wasn't enough for them to keep their spot in the playoffs. So now what that does, that puts them in a very beautiful situation, folks. Because if you have not seen these numbers yet for the season, these numbers are phenomenal. These numbers are incredible. These numbers will blow you away. James Harden so far is putting up 32.3 points per game. And listen, I know these last couple of years, he's been shafted from the MVP voting. And to me, there's still only one way you don't make MVP. And that's if Russell Westbrook manages to put up a triple-double again. I'm sorry. If he puts those teams up to a triple-double and he gets them past, and he gets them seriously into that top 3 of contention, we're talking about a different ball game here, folks. They're not that far off. We're talking about they are 8, not 8, what's that, 6, 8, they're 7 games behind the Houston Rockets. 7 games behind the Houston Rockets. They're only 4 games behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, folks. That's a lot of. We have a lot of season. We have 40 games to still play. There's a lot of season left. So, Harden is now leading the league in scoring, and he has been with 32.3 points per game, followed by Giannis Antetokounmpo with 28.4. Curry follows in third by 27.8. LeBron James is behind him with 27.1, and Anthony Davis, folks, is in fifth with 26.7 points per game. You already know how I roll here. I'm gonna have to make sure I'm getting my Knicks in Miami, people. So for all my Knicks people, Kristaps Porzingis has fallen out of the top 10. He's now in 15th, scoring 23.6 points per game. And as I give you these stats, right, and I told you I'm definitely going to make sure I highlight the Miami Heat players on here. This is going to be the place that I want you to pay attention to as I talk about Eric Spoelstra, or as you remember me hearing talk about Eric Spoelstra as an as a Coach of the Year candidate. Because listen to the position his players are in compared to all of these other teams, right? Because listen, James Harden, league leading in scoring. His team's in second in the West. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's second in scoring. I'm sorry, he's second in league in scoring. James Harden was first. Giannis Antetokounmpo is second in league in scoring. His team is in 7th. Stephen Curry, third in scoring. His team's in 1st. But let's not get it twisted. We all know Kevin Durant's also in top 10 in scoring. LeBron James, 4th in scoring. His team's in 3rd in the East. Anthony Davis, 5th in scoring. His team just recently got to 6th in the West. The Knicks, Kristaps Porzingis is 15th in scoring. His team isn't in the playoffs. They are sniffing at 10th spot. The highest score for the Miami Heat comes from their point guard, the Dragon, Dragic. Number 50. The very last spot that I keep track of. The 50th spot with 17.2 points per game. He is their leading scorer, folks. And his team is in 4th in the East with a record of 25-18. And so I just want to let you know, because that's universal. If he was in the West, they'll be better than the Oklahoma City Thunder right now. So let's put that in perspective. And let you know how well they're doing. In the assist column, we have Russell Westbrook with 9.9 assists per game. He was at 10 yesterday. He dropped down 0.1. Once again, his team's in 5th. We have John Wall, 9.3. His team's in 5th in the East. We have Chris Paul at 9.2. Once again, he plays for Houston. His team's in 2nd in the West. James Harden with 9.1, 2nd in the West. LeBron James, 8.8, 3rd in the East. We get the Knicks now at 18th. Folks, 18th with 6.2 with Jared Jack. I already told you where the Knicks are at. 10th spot. The Miami Heat's leading assist man is Dragic with 4.8, 36th in the league. And once again, as I said before, I will say it again, his team is 4th. In steals, we have Paul George leading the fray with 2.2 steals a game. He plays for Oklahoma City Thunder, 15th in the West. Followed by Chris Dunn. Followed by Kawhi Leonard. Followed by Russell Westbrook. Followed by Eric Bledsoe. If you see a pattern here of the top 5, playoff, except for Chris Dunn. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Courtney Lee both have 1.3 steals per game, tied for 32nd. One of our new favorite players to watch, Josh Richardson, has 1.2 steals per game, 47th in the league. Drummond leads all rebounders with 15. Rudy Gobert leads all blockers with 2.3. Now, obviously Rudy Gobert isn't there, but Kristaps Porzingis is the 2nd leading blocker in the league. Hassan Whiteside is 8th. Hassan Whiteside is also the 6th leading rebounder in the league with 11.7. So these are the numbers where you start seeing Hassan Whiteside, the specialist, the rebounder, the blocker, start to do his thing. Number 6 in the league, 1.7. 8th in the league, 1.8. As listen, Enes Kanter makes it into the top 10 in rebounds. So folks. No, that's not going to happen. As we've told you before, as we briefly mentioned it, but that Houston fiasco happened on an iconic night where the NBA had their MLK games, Martin Luther King Day games, and they put on 11 straight games that day starting from noon. We saw Charlotte beat Detroit in Detroit. Well, going to Detroit to take a victory, 118-107. We saw Toronto lose to Philadelphia, 111-117. We saw Milwaukee going to Washington pick up a victory, 104-95. San Antonio Spurs lost in Atlanta, 99-102. While New York beat Brooklyn in Brooklyn, 119-104. What happens to seem like they happen to be the only team they can beat consistently right now with the Brooklyn Nets. Right? Miami went into Charlotte, and folks, Miami Heat finally lost their first game of the year. So basically, as we told you, Miami Heat hadn't lost a game the whole entire time, this whole entire year. Basically, they haven't lost a game since we saw them lose against Brooklyn. Well, they lost against, which I don't get. Like, New York Knicks can beat Brooklyn. Brooklyn's beat Miami, right? But New York can't beat Miami. And New York can't beat Chicago. We'll get into that a little bit later. LA Lakers going to Memphis and they take a L 114-123. Sacramento Kings going to Oklahoma City and they take a L 88-95. As the Golden State Warriors go into Cleveland to take that dub from the land 118-108 that added to them losing 8 of their last 12 and beating only 1 out of I believe 6 of the top teams in the league. Like it's been ridiculous how Cleveland is. Cleveland needs to make a move. Cleveland's gonna go after Trae Young and not sign Isaiah Thomas. You've heard it here first on the Myt Sports Podcast. Indiana beat Utah in Utah 109-99, and you already know what happened in Houston. Folks, let's stop all this.
Matter of fact, 305.
Knicks are getting blown up by 20 in the third. 64-82. That's what's going on tonight. And yes, folks, that's what's going on tonight. New York is losing to Miami. I'm sorry. New York is losing to Memphis. In Memphis, like I said, New York is just horrific on the road. And I'm hoping that somewhere in these next 6 games that they have on the road, that they start to find themselves. And this is when they find a little bit of that toughness. Trey Burke helped New York against Brooklyn, but New York beats Brooklyn all the time. So I can't really say that they really helped. So let's go ahead and give you a quick rundown of these past games, folks. Between the week of January 10th and January 16th. Okay, Cortana, show me the Heat score. Miami Heat took on Indiana and they lost and they beat Indiana 114-106. Then they went into Milwaukee came into town on the 14th to take an L by Miami 97-79. And we already told you what happened on Martin Luther King Day as the Miami Heat took on Chicago in Chicago and lost that game 111-119. Folks, also that week we had New York taking on Chicago Bulls as they lost to Chicago Bulls 122-119 in double overtime. Folks, this is a game that saw Marketing, I believe his name is a rookie, put up 33 points. Valentine dropped another 20 on them, and also Robin Lopez, yes, folks, dropped 20 on them. Folks, they lost to Chicago again. They continue to lose to Chicago. As listen, in that game, KP and Marketing both put up double-digit points. Marketing put up 11 points in the first quarter. KP put up 10 points in the first quarter. Only thing about this game, KP couldn't hit three-pointers. He went 0 for 3 for three-point line, and he had 2 turnovers in the first half. As we had Marketing going 3 for 5 from three-point range, folks. It was an incredible game to watch. Second half, we have Michael Beasley going 6 for 7, completely scorching it up. Puts up a three-pointer. He makes that, gets a block in the game. And also, Michael Beasley puts up another additional 10 points in the second half to finish that game with 26 points. That was the reason I mentioned Michael Beasley, because that's Michael Beasley's first game back from his injury. After he was backpedaling and sprained his ankle. Kristaps Porzingis did manage to put up 24 points in that game, but they still end up losing that game. And it was a close game, but that's what the Knicks do. They lose a lot of these close games. Next, you see them taking on Minnesota, and Minnesota is just a superior team. They lose that game 118-108. And also, they will lose a game next up to New Orleans. Even though they won against New Orleans, that game went into overtime. They needed to beat New Orleans in New Orleans. They lose to New Orleans, and New Orleans come to New York. As Anthony Davis decided to drop 45 and 25 on New York, and oops, upside your head, they can win for victory. Up next, after that, was New York versus Brooklyn. I kind of told you what already happened there. New York did beat Brooklyn, as Trey Burke was signed up for the D League, and he did great things for us, as we saw him was able to make a lot of dribble penetration drives, and able to get New York some of those looks that they needed. It doesn't seem like any of that is helping the New York Knicks. This game against Memphis, I didn't get a chance to watch this game, so I didn't get a chance to evaluate how Trey Burke is looking. But I need to get a chance and see how he's performing against Memphis. So coming up, folks, this week for the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat.
One, two, 718. Matter of fact, 305.
I get it, I swear that I get it. We just did it, we did it. We did it. We so far from finish, I brought you right back just so we can relive it.
So this week, for my beloved Knicks and my arch nemesis, the Heat, we start off with the Heat. Tonight, the Miami Heat are taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. And give you a quick update. We have just under 6 minutes left in the third quarter. We have a close game. I believe it's 64-68 Milwaukee, which is the complete opposite of what the New York Knicks are going through right now, as their game is 68-82 Memphis. As we determined already in this podcast, the Miami Heat are a superior team to the New York Knicks right now, in every way, shape, or form. And the Knicks are said to have a unicorn, which brings me up to another topic. I'm going to do a poll about this. I feel like Kristaps Porzingis, if this was the 90s, I feel like his name would be Prozac. It would be Kristaps Prozac Porzingis. But because this is, whatever this is, times we're in, the teams, his name is the Unicorn. We went from him being Prozac to the Unicorn. If that's not telling of the times, I don't know what else is. But, like I said, Miami takes on Milwaukee tonight. And so far, that seems to be a close game. 4-point game. Next month, Miami goes into Brooklyn on Friday to take on Brooklyn to see if they can avenge the loss. The last time they lost, basically. Or the person that gave them the last loss before the end of the year. Was it even the last loss before the end of the year? I don't even think that. Yeah, that's how I rolled in the new year. That's kind of how I rolled in the new year. So that was good. That was definitely good. So they're going to see if they can return the favor and give Brooklyn the loss that they gave them. On Saturday, the 20th, as that's going to be a back-to-back game for them. You're going to see Miami flying to Charlotte to take on Charlotte. And then you're going to see on the 22nd, Miami flying to Houston to take on the Houston Rockets. So between the 17th and the 23rd, yes, folks, the Miami Heat have 4 straight road games. Seems like them and the New York Knicks happen to be kind of on the same schedule. I always find it weird how these two teams are always playing the same teams within like a week or two of each other. Do you notice that? Is it just me? Am I seeing things? As we said, the New York Knicks are taking on Memphis tonight, and they are losing to Memphis tonight by damn near 20. Then Friday night on the 19th, they go into Utah to take on Utah. On Sunday the 21st, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a nice little matinee game. They fly into LA to take on the Lakers and Alonzo Ball and that squad, and hopefully they can pull up a victory there. And then, because after that, they're going to take on the Golden State Warriors on Tuesday the 23rd. And that's probably where they're going to take their another L at. But as we said, part of the reason for this Knicks road stint is because the New York Knicks have to give up their arena for the Grammys. I'm not sure why Miami has this kind of road stint, but I already told you why the Knicks do. Folks, that's our show. That's everything. I got it all out. On my mama, we live it. We talked about the Cavs. We talked about the 8 of 10. Like, we talked about Trey Burke. We talked about Trey Young. We talked about the Vikings. We got the Doe. We haven't had the Doe of the Week award in a minute. Like, whew, that was a throwback. Thank you guys for listening. This is Myt Sports Podcast. I'm still your host, Donald Omar Taylor. If you're listening, that means you're listening on the mytradio.net. You always catch the re-air. Don't forget at 24/7miami.tv. Or you can always just catch it on the MixLR app. Or you can go to mytsports.net, where I always upload the latest podcast for you right there on the homepage. That's mytsports.net. Thank you. Please don't forget. Stay tuned, stay blessed, and don't stress. Because apparently I've been stressing lately, and now I think I'm being diagnosed with anxiety. Come figure. Me, anxiety. Huh. I'm out of here. On my mama we living.
Sorry, boys. All the stitches in the world can't sew me together again.
Sorry. We're not done yet. I apologize for everybody that's listening. Please, don't forget, if you do have the time or the opportunity, please make sure you head down, or if you're able to go donate to a very worthy cause that's near and dear to my heart. This is a cause for cancer patients that suffer from peripheral neuropathy. It's a condition that leaves them in a state of hypertension where it doesn't matter if they're in 100-degree weather in South Florida. It kills their nerves so bad that they always feel like they're freezing. So to help these patients out, especially the ones that are in blistering and cold areas like New York, we are trying to get a donation together. Basically, we started a grassroots foundation. We're trying to sound this from the ground up so we could raise money to give to these cancer chemo patients that suffer from peripheral neuropathy. So if you can, please, with your heart, go donate at youcaring.com. That's YOU Caring, CARING.com/Cruz's Legacy. That's CRUZS Legacy. LEGACY. Now, I apologize. We can end the show, but please go donate if you can. It'll mean the world to me. It'll mean the world to the person that started the foundation, and I guarantee you it'll mean the world to the person that receives your donations. You can donate as little as $5, as little as $1, I believe, and you can go up from there. So please, if you can, pull your heart out and go donate today. youcaring.com/Cruz's Legacy.
Sorry, boys. All the stitches in the world can't sew me together again. Lay down. Lay down. Always knew I'd make a stop there. But a lot later than a whole gang of people thought. Last call for drinks. Bars closing down. Sun's out. Where we go?
I got 2 more episodes for episode 100.
Don't wanna go far.
I ain't even booked my guest yet.